Hey guys, it's Coded Steel and welcome to your 14th tutorial in the C programming language. I said this time we were going to discuss functions and that's exactly what we're going to do, so let's get right to it. Guys, so basically the easiest way to describe a function, and it's a little bit more than this, but this is the easiest way to describe it, is the same way it's described in math. You take a series of inputs. In this case, inputs are lines of code and the function will be the output. So it's going to take a bunch of lines of code and it's just going to execute the functions like the output. So that's basically what it is. If you have a y, or you guys, I'm sure many of you have seen this, f of x is equal to x squared. Okay, well, x is the input, all right, and f of x is the function. That's basically what this is. It's the output. So this function is the output. It's going to run through a bunch of lines of code, and whatever it's going to execute it is going to be the output. So that's the most high-level definition of it. Now we're going to code a function. So we're going to code two functions this time because I'm going to make an addition and subtraction register, just like we made in the first or second code that we actually did. And we're going to do all we're going to do is the same thing pretty much, add or subtract. That's all we're going to do. And we're going to have a char x, which is going to basically decide which operation are we going to perform. We're going to do addition or are we going to do subtraction. That's all it's going to do. So what I'm going to do here is the most simple way that this can be done and not make it confusing for you guys. Here, we're going to declare these as voids is what I'm going to do. So what a void is it is a null return type. I don't want it to return any type. Okay, so guys, I had an int here before. That means I wanted to return a type integer. Well, we're not going to discuss returns in this tutorial because we're not going to have enough time to do it. But basically understand this. Void means there's going to be no return at the end of the function. That's all that I'm saying. Okay, that's it. So now let's finish this rest of this stuff up. All we're going to do here is we're going to basically say we're going to declare a result, just r. I'm going to call it r to make it simple. And I'm going to say r is equal to 3 plus 6. That's all I'm going to do. Alright, and then I'm going to say printf. I'm going to declare a printf up here, which I know is kind of odd, huh? We're going to declare a printf right up here, though, and we're just going to do %d of that r. So, just like I was doing before, guys, in main, I'm just doing the exact same thing that I would have done before. But it's not being done in main now, it's being done in an external function. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this code, and I'm just going to paste it down here to make things a little easier for me. And instead of doing 3, I'm going to do 13 minus 6 so our number's positive. Okay? So now, that's the whole function part coded. So let's go through and do our if. And then on our if statement, all we're going to do is say if x is equal to the letter A, then we're going to do this. We're going to call our add function. This is a function call right here, guys. This is important because what this is doing is this is allowing us to call this function. When I say add here like this, I'm calling this function. So it's going to execute all these lines of code within this thing. If I don't use add at all in main, that's another thing I need to point out, guys. Main is the epicenter of the C programming language. Everything is executed from main. It doesn't matter if I have 10,000 functions declared outside of main. If I only call one of them, the only one of them that will execute is the one that's declared in main. There are no exceptions to that rule. That is just the way it is. It only knows, C only knows main. It doesn't even look at these as functions, honestly, guys. All it looks as this is if I call this, all this looks at this is lines of code. Just like if I took and pasted the lines of code right here, that's what C sees. It doesn't even see this as a function. This is just for the user's ease of programming. So you can create a function and call it multiple times. So guys, I could call this add function multiple times Isn't that much easier than writing 6 lines of code? I can call the same function multiple times. That is the advantage, the key advantage to a function. So we're going to do one more else if, and we're just going to say for our else if here that it's going to be x is equal to s for subtraction. And then in there, we're going to call our other function, which is the same general thing, subtract. And then we're going to have an else statement. And our else statement is going to do nothing. So if it's any other letter but A and S, maybe we'll just print F invalid or something. Invalid. Okay, so now it'll actually won't do anything. So another thing I want to point out to you guys, we've been messing around with the getch, the print functions, the scanf, and that's exactly what they are. I just call them functions, guys. That's exactly what they are. This whole time we've been using functions that are outside of main. Printf is a function. Getch, the get character function, is a function. These are all functions. I just never referenced them to you guys that way. I referenced them to you as lines of code because I didn't want to get into what they really truly were. Well, now we're getting to what they really truly are, guys. They are functions that are outside of main. Where is this function located? Well, I don't see it anywhere in the script. That's because it's located in the header files, which we'll discuss later about header files and all that other stuff. But anyways, this is the bread and butter of a function. There's really nothing. It's really that simple, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call this line of code, and that's another thing. I got to give this an initial value, right? So, and we got to take in a value for it, because if we don't let the user choose whether they're going to do their addition or their subtraction, what good is it letting them have their choice? Knew I'd forget something. Alright, now this is the end really seriously of this tutorial. So I'm going to say A, and it's going to return 9 because that's what 3 plus 6 is equal to. And then I'm going to say in the other case, we're going to say S, and it's going to return 7 because that's what our subtraction function is equal to. This is the simplest, these are the two simplest functions in the world you could pretty much ever write. Now I could make them simpler by just doing print statements within the functions, but I figured we'd do something a little more practical to show you guys how they could be useful. Guys, basically the reason we do functions is for ease of reading code. Okay, if you can look at the same lines, if you can look at a function and understand these maybe 30-40 lines of code that you might put in there, and you call that function 10 times throughout the main or throughout your main function, think about this. Okay, you're doing 40 lines of code in the function and you're calling it 10 times. That would be 400 lines of code that you guys would be taking up as unnecessary. There's no reason to do all of that stuff, copying and pasting, and it's pointless. That's why they give us the ability to be able to do this type of stuff. This is for ease of programming, so we don't have to constantly copy and paste stuff multiple times or repeat ourselves a trillion times. So that is a crash course, guys, on functions. They're really simple to understand. There are different types of functions, and we're going to have to discuss all of them because there's a ton of different ways you can use functions. And we did the void function. We didn't even use returns yet. So that's something we're going to discuss in our next tutorial. But for now, guys, just kind of chew on this. And next time we will get into more stuff about functions. That's all I got for you guys for this tutorial. I'll see you next time.